In a series of recent tweets, investigative journalist Whitney Webb dives into the deep entanglement of big tech, government, and private interests in shaping a dystopian future. Let's break this down one tweet at a time. Webb begins by challenging a naive assumption that giving big tech more power could somehow counterbalance governmental overreach, while in reality, these corporations are deeply embedded with military and intelligence agencies. She says in her tweet, "Anyone who still thinks that putting the big tech bros that contract for the military and intel agencies in charge of the GovT would somehow slow down the rollout of techno-dystopia are sure in for a big surprise. These guys are the private side of the public-private partnership, delivering the globalist surveillance state digital control agenda. Cloaking themselves in libertarian rhetoric sure fooled a lot of people." Whitney escalates her critique, pointing to the psychological manipulation at play. By blurring the lines between government and corporate interests, this deep state structure ensures its survival through deception. It's a reminder to scrutinize actions over words and to recognize the seamless integration of Silicon Valley and intelligence agencies. Americans will keep getting politically psyoped into oblivion until they can separate rhetoric from action in politics. Politicians and their allies lie to gain your trust, and they show their true colors eventually. Silicon Valley and the CIA are inseparable. Do some research and learn that the deep state is a public sector and private sector operation. In response to this, Tim Pool responds with a tweet saying, "The attacks on Elon and the narrative being built around censorship feels like an op. I'm not falling for it, and neither should you. They have been trying to get Elon and MAGA to go to war for weeks." In response to Tim Pool's tweet, Whitney concludes by dismantling the notion that Silicon Valley's elite are allies of the people. Instead, she paints a vivid picture of their true intentions. The real op was the effort to convince regular Americans that Silicon Valley oligarchs, who literally help build and maintain the surveillance state for intelligence, deeply invest and promote mRNA tech, want to price carbon, develop pre-crime tech used to target both conservatives and leftists alike, and are pushing for surveillance programmable money, cared about them, and wanted to restore the country to prior times. They want to build an American technate where they hold all the power and wealth, and you drink out of the trough in a digital cattle pen while they milk you for data. Whitney Webb's tweets offer a stark warning about the trajectory of our tech-driven society. Her insights underscore the importance of critical thinking and the need to question the narratives perpetuated by powerful entities. Webb concludes her thoughts on a December 30th tweet saying, "The Kissinger-Eric Schmidt book on AI basically states that the real promise of AI, from their perspective, is a tool of perception manipulation, that eventually people will not be able to interpret or perceive reality without the help of an AI via cognitive diminishment and learned helplessness. For that to happen, online reality must become so insane that real people can no longer distinguish real from fake in the virtual realm, so that they can then become dependent on certain algorithms to tell them what is real. Please realize that we are in a war against the elites over human perception, and that social media is a major battleground in that war. Hold on to your critical thinking and skepticism and never surrender it. As citizens, staying informed and vigilant is crucial to resisting this creeping dystopia."
Ultimately, where I see this going is really where I see the powers that be, how they plan to use AI and what they plan to do to humanity with it. So I guess about a year ago, or maybe a little, I can't remember the exact date, but I wrote a piece for Catherine Austin Fitz's Solari report, which was basically a summary of what some of the architects of artificial intelligence, at least in the United States, see as what the real promise of AI is and where it will take us and what they anticipate will happen. And so I looked at this book by Eric Schmidt and Henry Kissinger called The Age of AI, Our Human Future. One of the reasons I did that is because Eric Schmidt was the lead of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. He has styled himself as Kissinger's heir and did this before Kissinger died, and ultimately, has basically created the roadmap that the U.S. national security state will use in guiding its implementation of artificial intelligence. So this is someone who's very important to listen to. He's also on the steering committee of Bilderberg alongside Peter Thiel, the anti-Schmidt, supposedly, but who's definitely on board for all of this stuff as well, despite his slightly different rhetoric and obviously a very different, well-oiled PR machine that makes him appear to be something that he is not. So in that book, basically, and I think this is very revealing, Kissinger and Schmidt essentially say that the real promise of AI, it's not in making life more convenient and all of this stuff that us plebs are told. The real promise is that it will forever alter how humanity perceives and processes reality. And so there's a lot of implications for that, on social media and on the internet in general. And in talking about, the flow of information in AI, they essentially say that the content is going to be produced mostly by AI, and then AI will censor the content as well. So even if you're in this sort of paradigm where you have a digital ID and you're on the internet and you think you're dealing only with real people and real bots, you're still going to be essentially living in an AI soup. And so the AI, censor bot will probably be censoring real people and not the AI slop. But the goal is ultimately to have it be about perception management, and ultimately the kind of world they envision is one where people depend on AI to tell them what is real and what is not. And that this is really the only way to deal with AI-powered misinformation. And honestly, it makes no sense. It's basically like AI is creating this problem, and so the solution is to essentially put AI in charge of everything and have it be sort of the processor of reality for us. And they also make these other arguments that as humans become more and more dependent on AI, including for perceiving reality, humans will lose the ability to do it themselves and will sort of be in this place where they have to use AI to understand what's going on and and that humanity as a consequence will just become so easily manipulated to really unprecedented degrees. And when you consider all the profiling that's happened on people based on their online activity over the last 20 years, if you don't think they know how to manipulate you, they absolutely do.